And obviously I did take more risks, right? Because, hey, it's just me, whatever. I get hit by a bus, who cares? Nobody's counting on me. And then once you have kids, now instantly in my mind, all of my money now belongs to him. Because I know it's going to get left to him at some point. All of my businesses now belong to him. All of my real estate, all my property.
All right, guys, someone I've known for a long time on social media, Tony Delgado. Thanks for coming on today, man.
Thanks for having me, Mo.
Yeah, we probably chatted for what, 7-8 years now?
Yeah, man, it's been inspiring watching both of each other grow through the years, and we're here for funnel hacking here in Vegas, and it's kind of like the freshman school yearbook of all these entrepreneurs, and it's like, oh yeah, I remember when you were selling lemonade, and now you're driving a Ferrari. But yeah,
it's been cool to see who made it, and then a lot of people did not make it, man.
Yeah,
but it's been cool to see like who really toughed it out.
Yeah, who didn't give up, right? I was speaking to an entrepreneur friend of mine just yesterday, and Shark Tank, the Damon from Shark Tank goes to him, and he's been trying to get him to invest for years. And he says, listen, you're actually the right man for the job because you're actually still at it. So it says a lot, you know, back when we were running the Startup Accelerator with Gerard Adams, there were so many different companies that came and got investment from us, came through our accelerator program. And when I look through that roster, there's maybe 1 or 2 of them that hit it really big. But there are just so many people that gave up.
Yeah, it's like VC investing 1 out of 100, right?
Yeah, you have to have it. I mean, it's great. There's some people that say that you can teach entrepreneurship, and you can teach skills. You can teach sales and marketing and things to get you to the next level. But I do think that there are just some people that are naturally born entrepreneurs.
I think it's a big part of it, and I think it comes from environment.
Well, and that's why you'll see a lot of entrepreneurs came up with really hard backgrounds, kind of like myself. It's like, for me, entrepreneurship wasn't a choice. I mean, I was an entrepreneur before it was a thing, before Gary Vee made it cool and all these people.
You used to get bullied for it. Now it's now it's the hot thing.
Yeah, now it's the hot, cool thing. Well, in Spanish, the word actually still has a negative connotation. It almost means you're a loser.
Really?
Yeah, entrepreneur is like synonymous with being unemployed. It's like unemployed and trying to figure it out.
What's the word for entrepreneurship in Spanish?
Entreprenista. I'm messing it up. But the word in Spanish, and they're doing conferences and stuff all throughout Latin America right now with it. They're trying to change the stereotype around it, right? So it's still a word, but it has a negative connotation, like basically you're unemployed.
Wow, that's crazy. And I know you're big on the Latin American community. Your whole company called Latino Wall Street is about that, right? Serving them.
Yeah, so we started the company after Hurricane Maria struck the island of Puerto Rico. I was born and raised in New York City, but my family on my father's side was from Puerto Rico. I used to go to Puerto Rico as a kid. My grandfather was from Arecibo, which is a small town, maybe 2 hours from the capital. And I always fell in love with the island. And then he passed away and we stopped going. And then when Hurricane Maria happened, I knew that I wanted to go back and give back to my community. So we went down there with a bunch of crazy entrepreneurs, giving out solar panel lights, food, water, supplies, whatever we could, knocking on people's doors. And then I realized that it was the people with no money and no resources that got hit the worst, right? If you had a lot of money, you know, you either had JetBlue money or you had FU money, right? You had enough money to at least get on a JetBlue, go to Orlando, go to New York, go to someplace safe and weather the storm that way. Or you had so much money that it was like, I don't care. I have a big, strong house. The hurricane's not going to affect me. If there's no power, no water, you know, I'll go to Europe or I'll go to Miami for a couple of months and I'll come back when things are fixed, or I'll put a bunch of money into a backup generator to fix it. And it was really the people that had no money and no resources that got hit the worst. But then I realized that they had the same internet connection that I did, right? Funny story, I was in a province called Patiles, and we go to give solar panel lights. We had these small little solar panel lights that gives you a nightlight. So people that don't know, Hurricane Maria is the largest blackout in American history. Some people 6 months, some people a year, some people are still waiting. They don't have electricity. And what happens is when you don't have electricity, now your water's not being pumped properly. Now your water's coming out of your faucet dirty.
Searching for the perfect job can be overwhelming. You know it's out there, you just don't know how to find it. The good news, you don't have to do it alone. Shout out to today's sponsor, Specialized Recruiting Group. Specialized Recruiting Group is here to help. Personalized job search support tailored to your skills and needs. They connect job seekers with contract and full-time roles. The best part is that it's completely free for job seekers. Specialized Recruiting Group is ready to find the talent you need. Go to srgpros.com, see how our recruitment specialists with a deep understanding of experience and expertise you need can find the right fit for your business. After all, you deserve to see the best candidates possible, both active and passive. Visit srgpros.com today to start your job search. If you don't see the right job listed, SRG also recruits for confidential roles. Just call a local office to learn more. Take the next step in your career today at srgpros.com.
And now your stoplights don't work, your traffic lights don't work, there's traffic jams. There's all these, it's like a domino effect of problems that happen. And so Puerto Rico created all of these problems after the hurricane, had all these problems after the hurricane. And I'm in this small province. We're giving out these solar panel lights and water, and we brought food and brought pizza and all this stuff to these kids who were still without power, right? And we're coming back, and I look into one of the stores, and as I'm picking up all these boxes of pizza to go bring them to the school, there's a guy from Fremont just sitting there eating the pizza, hanging out, not doing nothing. And I was like, oh, wow, isn't that synonymous of what's going on here? You know, you have these big government contracts, these big government employees, all this wasteful government spending, you know, billions of dollars that got sent to the island by President Trump to try to fix things. But a lot of that money got mismanaged, right? A lot of that money didn't go exactly where it needed to go. And then we were in another town not too far, and there was a small house at the top of a mountain, and it's like a dirt road. You got to drive up, and we're driving up in our truck, and we're like a little scared because it's dangerous. I mean, there was all this rainfall and mudslides. And I get to the top of the mountain. We give them the supplies. They're so happy, right? And then all of a sudden, my phone rings, and it's a FaceTime call, and I pick it up, and I'm talking to someone about business back in New York. And I was like, wait a second. If I can take a business call from the top of this mountain, and this is how I make money, well, then this family could be making, you know, hypothetically the same amount of money as I am, because they have the same internet. They have the same Wi-Fi. So that's when we came up with the concept Wi-Fi in a dream is all you need to succeed. We started hosting seminars and workshops in Puerto Rico. And then when I met my wife, my vision expanded from just the 3 million people in Puerto Rico to 400 million Latinos all around the world. And so to date, we've done events in Miami, New York, Peru, Colombia, Puerto Rico, obviously, Panama, and all throughout Latin America, you know, preaching that same thing, that, you know, the disconnect between financial freedom and is financial literacy, right? If you don't have the information, then you're not going to be equipped with what you need to succeed.
Right. And a lot of them didn't have that information, right?
No, yeah. I mean, they don't teach these things in school anyway. But the schools in Latin America are even, you know, more behind, especially the public schools. They're defunding public schools and they're selling them in Puerto Rico. And kids that used to be able to go and walk down the street and go to a school, they're now telling them, hey, you got to go 5 miles, you got to go 10 miles, or you can take this class on Zoom. So there's a really big education problem that's happening. But I mean, just think about it. You went to school where? New Jersey, New York?
Jersey.
So did they teach you about taxes?
Hell no.
Did they teach you how to sign a check?
Nope.
Did they teach you about mortgage rates? Did they teach you about any of the wealth building tools that you now know as an entrepreneur? Like, no, these things are not being taught, dude. And so imagine what you can do if you teach a kid these things. So we recently launched our foundation, Wall Street Kids. And one of the projects that we're taking on now is taking kids from the inner city from all throughout the United States and Latin America and bringing them to the floor of the New York Stock Exchange so that they can see a glimpse, right? They can just see 5% of what could be possible, right? And kind of light that fire in a young kid's eyes. Because when I grew up, there wasn't a Silicon Valley in New York City. Being in tech wasn't cool. They would call you a nerd. You get picked on for being smart. You get picked on for actually trying to better yourself, right? Turn on the radio. What do you hear, right? Look at the rap songs. They fantasize and fetishize sex, drugs, and rock and roll, right? It's all about making money. It's about cheating on your wife, making money in the most illegal ways, right? And the hypocritical part about it is a lot of these guys, these rappers, they're not making money from the things they're talking about. They're making money on tour. They're making money with merch. They're making money with all these other things, streaming and advertising and marketing, but they're not actually making money doing the things that they're telling young people to do. So the biggest piece of advice that I have for young people, if they really want to change their lives, is to turn off the TV, turn off the radio, be very intentional with the things that you're putting in your brain, because honestly, we're poisoning a lot of these kids' minds.
Absolutely.
And Spanish music, the reggaeton is just as bad, man, if not 10 times worse.
Wow.
Yeah, the reggaeton, now some of it's beautiful and romantic, and you have your bachata, but a lot of the actual hardcore reggaeton is really, really degenerative against women. It's promoting sex, drugs, violence, right? And a lot of the reggaeton artists that I know, a lot of them are becoming Christian and becoming born again and actually repenting and saying, oh my God, I poisoned the youth in so many ways. And now I want to give my life to God and actually repent and let the world know that I'm saved again.
Wow. The more I look into music, the more I realize how powerful it is.
Yeah, it's a subliminal program.
I don't listen to what I used to listen to, man. I can tell you that.
You can't. I mean, you have to be really, really intentional. It's brainwashing, you know? One of the people that, and you can brainwash yourself in a positive way or a negative way.
Facts.
Right? So when I first started in entrepreneurship and business, I used to brainwash myself with positive things. Podcasts, affirmations, people like Cardone, obviously, people who even are not with us anymore, right? Some of the Napoleon Hill and some of the greats that studied entrepreneurship and studied business, and maybe they're not here anymore. Maybe their lessons don't apply perfectly, but you can get a glimpse into what they were thinking in those moments. And I immediately stopped listening to all music with lyrics, right? Because if there's lyrics, there's programming.
Wow.
Right? So
that's deep. Even without lyrics, there's certain frequencies that they can manipulate. It's a whole nother level, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be careful what you listen to. But for me, that was a game changer. Once I stopped listening to hip hop and rap, because I used to love that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, that's part of the culture.
Yeah.
But the culture, we have to be aware that it's designed to entrap us. It's designed to enslave us. And a lot of these things, they're not positive. You know, you're listening to this song and it has a good beat and you're like, oh yeah, I love bad bitching. That's my fucking problem, right? And then you're driving down and then all of a sudden you meet your wife for dinner or your girlfriend for dinner and you're treating her like a bitch and a hoe because you've been listening to this song on the way to go see her, right?
Facts.
So you gotta be careful, man.
Yeah. I know you just had a ball in DC a few weeks ago, right? Latino ball.
Oh yeah. We hosted the biggest Hispanic inauguration ball in history, I believe. Over 2,000 people there. I mean, we literally had Miss Universe on the red carpet.
Wow.
Every single news station, Jimmy Kimmel ended up picking it up, Fox News, nationally syndicated all over. And it was a good time.
Because there was a lot of balls, man. You were competing with a lot of people.
Well, we were competing with a lot of people with big money. So for a bunch of Latino kids to pull it off, I think we did pretty good.
That just shows the strength of the Latino community, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely seen a huge shift in the political narrative from Latinos being told to sort of vote blue no matter who, to really embracing conservatism. And, you know, the Latinos for Trump movement was obviously big in 2016. That's obviously how he got elected the first time. But this year we were really historic in the amount of support. And it really felt like Mardi Gras. I mean, people were so happy. That was, even my Democrat friends are like, you know, obviously our side didn't win, but at least you guys just seem so happy. It feels like Mardi Gras. Everyone, a big weight was lifted off of everyone's shoulders. And it's it's magical, man. We had Robert F. Kennedy Jr. come to our conference. We had President Milei of Argentina,
Wow.
who we initially met at Mar-a-Lago when he met with Trump. And they started working on this Make the Americas Great Again. How can we forge partnerships between the United States and the rest of Latin America so that we can increase the economy and increase the strength of all of our nations, right? We don't want to have a world where there's no nations, right? That's bad. A weak Latin America is actually bad for the United States because what's happening in certain places is China's taking over, right? Anywhere where there's a weak economy, a weak government, if there's an ability for things to be destabilized, well, then China or Russia or any of our competitors are going to come in, and they're right there on our borders.
Right.
So a strong Latin America is good for a strong America.
I love that, man. Why do you think so many Latin Americans switched over to conservative before? Because previously they were Democrat, right? They leaned that way.
Yeah, definitely. Believe it or not, one of the big factors was actually the border. And you would think it would be the other way around. But, over the last 4 years, we've had this massive open border with Biden. We've had massive illegal immigration, like completely unchecked.
Yeah.
And the Democrats thought, this is great. We're going to win the Latino vote. We're going to leave the border open. We're going to let everybody in, and they're just going to love us for it. And the Latinos that are here are like, whoa, wait, no, there's actually some bad people over there. That's why we left, right? Like, we don't want the cartels coming here. Like, the whole reason that Hispanics come to the United States and immigrate here legally, and there's 50 million Latinos in the United States who immigrated here legally, who are U.S. citizens, who pay their taxes, who follow the rules, who go to work every day and live the American dream. And that's why they came here. They came here for the American dream, not the San Francisco nightmare. They don't want to go and see the same cartels that they just escaped in their backyard. They don't feel safe. They want to raise their families in peace.
Yeah.
And I think another factor is Christian conservative values. Again, Latinos are naturally conservative. We're naturally Christian. 50% are Catholic, 75% or 77% are Christian. We don't believe in insanity. We don't believe in sin, right? The 10 Commandments, very basic precedents that our country was founded on, that civilization was founded on, right? And so to see the left go so far left, I was a Democrat. To see the left go so far left, they basically left the country. They left the building.
Yeah, it was nuts. Yeah, I grew up Democrat in Jersey. You said you grew up in New York, right?
I grew up in New York and New Jersey.
Yeah. Good old Jersey, man. What
city?
Jersey
boys.
Yeah, what city were you in Jersey?
Yeah, I was born in Hoboken, New Jersey.
Let's go.
Birthplace of Frank Sinatra.
I lived in Jersey City for a bit.
Yeah.
Right. Jersey City and Hoboken have come a long way.
Yeah, it was really bad. When we were growing up, those were the worst places.
Those hoods, yeah.
Yeah, those are the hoods, and now it's gorgeous. It's going through a renaissance for sure. Yeah. Although it's starting to get a little sketchy again. But you have people like Eric Adams who are now coming back to the table and saying, wait, this whole immigration thing, I think we're going to have to dial it back a little bit. I really knew there was a shift when I went to the Trump rally, right? So in Madison Square Garden.
That was a big one.
Yeah, so that was my first Trump rally.
Really?
Yeah, I'd never been to a Trump rally. I always liked Trump, right? But I was very apolitical, to be honest with you. My feelings in 2016 and even in 2017 and 18 during Hurricane Maria were like, listen, the government needs to just get out of the way. The government's not good at anything, okay? They're obviously mismanaging all of this money. We need the private sector. We need entrepreneurs to come in.
Right.
So when we started our movement, it wasn't about, hey, government, you need to save us. It was like, no, government, get out of the way and let entrepreneurs come in and make a positive impact. And if you look at what happened on the ground, I mean, I think it was individual nonprofits and entrepreneurs and business owners did a lot more good during those national disasters than the government ever could.
Wow. Did FEMA give any money to those hurricane families?
No, I mean, so we partnered up with an NGO that was former military who basically set up a camp. They're military. They know how to set up camps. They set up this camp, and now they're going and fighting with FEMA to get supplies because like, guys, the supplies are sitting there. You're not giving them out. Please give them to us and we will give them out. And so they were fighting with FEMA and getting them, but since they're military, they were able to get them to cooperate slightly. And that's how a lot of the supplies were getting distributed. But the government, they found warehouses all throughout Puerto Rico with all these supplies years later, bottles of water that had went bad in the sun because they melted, because they were basically hoarding these resources and not distributing them in times of need.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
And now a lot of that's getting exposed with the USAID stuff.
Yeah, with the USAID and with Doge and with Elon Musk. Yeah, they're going and they're exposing a lot of this stuff. But this is what politicians have been doing for years. They've been enriching themselves. So like my big thing, the reason that I was really excited about this administration was because it wasn't about Democrats or Republicans. You had Robert F. Kennedy Jr., you had Tulsi Gabbard, you had all these Elon Musk, all these lifelong Democrats who are like, no, we just want to make America great again. And then you had Trump in the middle. Now, Trump's a tough guy, but he's also rich. So when someone's rich, they're a little bit harder to manipulate. Now, you can still manipulate them, but the price is a lot higher. Right? It's going to be a lot higher to pay off Trump than it is to pay off the average politician. And, you know, at the end of the day, what does he really care about at this point in his life? He cares more about his legacy than he cares about some sort of short-term financial gain. Now, yes, is he still wildly successful in business? Yeah, sure. Is he still going to do things to grow his wealth? Of course he is. But his main goal at this point in his life is growing his legacy. And so when I saw him this time around partner with people like Kennedy, we were working for the Kennedy campaign. And
what were you doing for them?
We were running their Hispanic outreach.
Oh, nice.
So we invited Kennedy to speak at our annual conference. So Latino Wall Street, we host conferences every year. We have this big conference in Miami. And at that point in time, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was running as an independent candidate for president. They were not allowing him on the debate stage. They were not allowing him to debate Biden. They were not allowing him to debate Trump. They were not allowing him to primary Biden and say, hey, as a Democrat, I think we have a better option than Biden. There's actually someone that's coherent that can string a sentence together, right? Yeah. And they were not allowing that, right? They were pretending like Biden was going to be the candidate when they knew all along that it was Kamala Harris that they wanted to install, right? And so at this point in the game, he's sort of being shadow banned by the mainstream media, but wildly popular on social media, right? Tons of millions of views on all these videos he's putting out, right? He's putting out more content than Gary Vee. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And we invited him to our annual conference, and we also invited the other presidential candidates. And Robert F. Kennedy, a day before the event, finally confirmed. So we're going back and forth with his team. And where, you know, we kind of know that he's going to speak, but we can't really announce it, right? He has to have his Secret Service go through and check our venue. It was in the Miami-Dade College. And after we get the green light, he comes and he shows up to the event, and our audience is blown away. He does half the speech in Spanish, half in English.
Wow.
No one knew this. No one knew he spoke Spanish. He spoke both languages. He talks about how he was arrested in Puerto Rico protesting for humanitarian rights in the early 2000s, 20 years ago. It's like, wow, nobody ever knew this. And half the people in the audience, because again, I couldn't announce it until the day before, they didn't come to see him. They came to see us. So when they meet this guy, they're like, oh my God, I didn't even know he was running for president, but now I'm voting for you, and anything that you need, I'm here. I didn't know. I thought I only had two choices. There's a third choice. This is amazing. And so all of the Latino Wall Street community, which is large, we have 150,000 students in our community, 20 million plus people who watch our stuff on social media every month.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really big community, and they all just fell in love with him. They gravitated towards him. And so when that happened, we kept working with his team. We started doing these virtual town halls that we call Latino town halls with him, and asking him about all these different issues. And it's funny, I'm on an IG Live with him, and he tells me, you have my phone number now, and you'll have my phone number when I'm in the White House. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, I don't have your phone number. What are you talking about? And then right after the IG Live is over, bing, we get the text message. And he's like, yo, here's my number. Anything you guys need. Yeah.
That's dope, dude.
Yeah. And
he just got confirmed, right?
Yeah, he's in the process. Yeah, I think he just got confirmed for the first round and the second round's happening this week.
Let's go.
And make America healthy again, man.
I love it.
So we were working with him kind of from the outside and just as supporters, fans, etc. And then his campaign asked us to run Hispanic outreach. So we ran Hispanic outreach for a short period of time before the Trump endorsement. And we all kind of knew there was something with Trump happening, right? It was even rumored at that point that he might be the VP pick, which would have been really cool as well. But then when he moved over to Trump, there was something very special that happened because party lines kind of disappeared. And it was everyone coming together and saying, okay, forget about our differences. What are our similarities? What do we have in common? Well, we have in common, we want to protect our children's health. We have in common, we want to protect our country's prosperity, right? We have in common, we want safe streets, right? We have all these things in common. Why don't we work together? And that's why I say, the Trump movement, the MAGA movement, it's really not Democrat or Republican. It's really the new patriot movement. Republicans, that's Nikki Haley, that's George Bush, and none of those people like Trump. Those are not Trump people. This is really a movement of innovative, disruptive people who are trying to come into politics, shake it up, and do something new.
Absolutely.
Right? And again, like Elon Musk, are you going to bribe Elon Musk? How are you going to bribe him? He has more money in the world. He could quit doing everything right now and be on a yacht, and he never has to talk to us ever again. Right? He's out there doing what he thinks is best for the family, for his future generation, for his family, for his kids.
He's also a minimalist too, so it'd be hard to bribe him with anything materialistic.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what would he want? He doesn't even own a house. Isn't that crazy? It's one of the richest men on the planet, no house.
It's crazy.
Yeah, he goes against the grain. Shout out to Elon.
Yeah.
We're going to end up on Mars one day, aren't we?
I think so. I think so. A U.S. flag on Mars, hopefully.
Yeah. Would you ever go in space?
Nah.
It's too risky, right?
I'm here with my son, yeah.
Yeah. Once you got kids.
I might go up into orbit. I don't know if I'm leaving orbit,
I think Richard Branson did that, right?
Yeah. I might do one of those at some point.
I feel like when you have kids, you take less risks, right?
Well, no, when you have kids, your whole life changes. The whole way and it sounds so cliche, but the whole way you think about money, the way you think about business, the way you think about life, everything now becomes second generational just by default. And so before I had my son, everything I was thinking about was myself. It was me. Yes. How much money do I need for me? What do I need for my brand? What do I need to protect myself? And obviously I did take more risks, right? Because, hey, it's just me, whatever. I get hit by a bus, who cares? Nobody's counting on me. And then once you have kids, now instantly in my mind, all of my money now belongs to him because I know it's going to get left to him at some point. All of my businesses now belong to him. All of my real estate, all my properties, all my vehicles, like everything that I own now is somehow going to be his one day. And instantly, I don't know if this happens to everybody, but instantly I started thinking about how do I leave a legacy for my son? And yeah, we named him Zeus. He's 3, little champion. And
that's a great name.
Yeah. I was just thinking about, you show up to a board meeting, you're like, well, what's your name? Hey, Zeus. Zeus is here, guys.
You need a powerful name as a man.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Well, being a man is really hard in this new generation. I mean, we've been taught over the last decade or two that being strong is evil, that masculinity is toxic and all these things. And I think nothing could be farther from the truth. I think you can be strong and fair. I think that you can be masculine and still have humility. I think that you can be tough and still have a good heart. And so I think we need to get back to that, tough guys that actually have integrity. If you turn on the TV, the only tough guys are the bad guys and they're evil.
That's so true, actually. The programming in Hollywood is nuts. They either make the husband like a stupid guy or like a tough criminal.
Yeah, or a tough criminal. He's beating her up. He's using his strength to beat her up.
Yeah, or like a stupid nice guy where like the wife controls the relationship.
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed too.
It's really bad. That's why I knew I wanted to marry my wife when she didn't watch any TV. It's like, do you watch
love
TV?
that.
It's like, no. It's like,
so no programming.
Yeah, no programming.
Where's she from?
Peru.
Yeah, I feel like in America has been so, like, they're just exposed. I'm not trying to hate on them. They're just exposed to so much, like television, Disney stuff, movies.
Reality shows.
Public school.
it's bad.
Yeah.
Really bad. And that's the thing. We need to fix our culture. So a lot of these like conservative values that, we believe in, we need to fix them from a cultural standpoint. It's not that we need to pass a law and say like, you could only have sex with your husband and that's it. And if not, we chop off your head like you're in Saudi Arabia. Like, no, that's not what we need to do. We need to make it culturally the most honorable thing that someone can do is to have a family and raise a family and be faithful to your wife and all those different types of things.
Yeah. Well, right now with the fertility rate and we're not populating fast enough. Basically, we're depopulating. I've seen Elon Musk talk about this. It's pretty concerning for the future of our country if we keep down this route.
Yeah, no, it's really, really scary. I mean, and if you think about, the whole gay and trans thing and all that weird stuff, I mean, listen, if people have different sexual orientations, I don't think that someone should throw a rock at you or make fun of you or pick on anyone or bully anyone. I'm totally against all that stuff. But if you just think scientifically, you're going to depopulate the earth. If everyone's gay, then nobody's having kids,
right? And
then you're depopulating the earth. So it is a form of population control. It's a form of trying to suppress the procreation of the masses. And how do you control people? Well, you control people with media. And that's why platforms like yours are so important, because you're giving a voice to a different narrative that maybe isn't told.
Well, that's why Trump won alternative media. I don't think he would have won without it.
No.
Would have been hard.
No, it was crazy. This was the podcast Presidency for sure. While we were in inauguration, Spotify hosted this private party for influencers, and we're there. And I'm with Patrick Bet-David, I'm with Gerard Adams, I'm with all these badasses. And literally they said it, this is the podcast election. And they were so proud that Joe Rogan and
Lex Friedman,
and who's the hillbilly guy?
Theo Vaughn.
Yeah,
he crushed it.
Like
Nelk Boys,
they changed the freaking narrative. They gave a voice to it's not only a voice, because people will say that, oh, well, don't platform this person or whatever. The long form content, like allowing someone to actually speak and get their point across, is so powerful. It's so important, right?
Yep.
Like if you just listen to a clip of Trump, right? Or if Trump is at these debates that are just so heavily moderated to the point that he's having to now debate all the different moderators instead of actually moderating, they're debating him, right? Those conversations that he's having they're so superficial because you don't even have any time to think.
Yeah.
You don't even have any time to formulate your thoughts, right? And I've done Fox News and I've done that media, and it's very empty. You got 30 seconds or something to make your point, and then if not, they're cutting your mic off, they're talking over you. And it's really not a good place to be if you're trying to become the president and I'm trying to actually understand what the president's going to do. A 30-second soundbite isn't enough time.
Yeah, it's not in a relaxed environment. They'll never fully open up on that sort of setting. But a podcast, you'll get life stories.
Yeah. No, and you'll never really know what they really think, which is what's happened for years.
Right.
For years, we just saw our presidents through a bubble called the television, and whatever was in that bubble we felt was the truth. And I think now with social media, we've been able to expose and know the truth about a lot of people.
Absolutely. Tony, it's been awesome, man. What's next for you? Where can people support you, and when are your next events?
Yeah. So, you can follow me at Tony Delgado. And you can follow our company at Latino Wall Street, and then check out the Latino Wall Street annual conference that's going to be happening at the Hard Rock Cafe this year, June 28th and 29th. And there's going to be some crazy surprise guests. So
is that in Florida? Hard Rock?
Going to be in Florida. Yeah.
Cool.
We're renting the Hard Rock Ballroom, but then we're also going to be renting Hard Rock Live, which is their musical theater. And we're going to be putting together all the musicians who supported pro-freedom through the past year. And we're going to be giving them a platform. So it's going to be really fun.
I love it, man. We'll link that below. Thanks for hopping on, dude.
Yeah, thank you, Ben.
Check them out, guys. See you next time.
Peace.